welcome back to Kama'aina Corner. Today's episode is all about friendship.
We'll share our journey as friends and our thoughts on creating new friendships. So, we're going to start off by talking about how we met, our backstory, just to give you an idea of how we became friends. And then we'll go from there and talk about authentic friendships and how do we do that as adults, because that's probably the hardest thing to do. So, how did we meet? You can start, Sid.
Sure, I'll start.
Tell them our
So,
story. Tell them our story.
okay. So, we first met in, I guess it would be considered intermediate school. Pa'awilo Elementary and Intermediate School.
Or middle school. They call it up
Or
here
middle
middle
school.
school.
Yeah, middle school. But Pa'awilo was special, right? Because we went from K all the way through 9th grade.
Right.
So, anyways, 6th grade, I came into the school a little bit after the school year had started, and then you came.
I think I came way. I think it was like midway.
Yeah, can't remember exactly when, but I know you came after me. I remember thinking, "Oh, great!
Be nice. Be nice.
I am being nice. I'm telling the truth. Like I was just thinking, oh, great! It's another new person, right?" And
Mm-hmm.
although I was a little bit established already, I was still the newest person, right? So I was like, oh, great, somebody new. And then you came, and it didn't take too long for us to
Find similarities.
and just kind of be connected as true friends. And
yeah.
It hasn't stopped.
What I remember is coming and feeling out of place. And at first I didn't feel accepted, but I quickly made friends. So obviously it was awkward for me because I was a skinny little sixth grader that really didn't know anybody, and everybody kind of was friends already and knew each other and grew up with each other. And I knew my cousin, and that was about it that went there. Maybe a couple other kids from other places, but for the most part I really didn't have like anybody. So I kind of felt alone the first, you know, I don't know how long it took, but I think you and I gravitated to each other because we didn't have like too much similar backgrounds, but we had similarities between our lives, and I don't know, our personalities just kind of clicked, and we were pretty much inseparable. It was like almost every weekend either I was at your house or you were at mine. Even outside of just you and I and our relationship and friendship, our classmates kind of became our family too, right? A lot of our classmates we were really close with, and even till today, I would consider, good friends growing up. That connection kind of stayed with some of us.
And that's one of the upsides, yeah, to also being in such a small school, because the closeness that you can gain is greater than going to a school with 1,200 kids. We are going
Let's
on not 30 but 35 years of friendship.
35
35. That's
years. Is it really though? Well, how old are we? We're only 47.
Yeah, Shell. Minus 12 or even 11, that's 35. 35, 36 years. It's been that long. We're that old. That's
Well,
crazy.
I know it is. But I do feel like there's a level like in Hawaii and sometimes here too, like there are some people when we're in that middle school age, like I feel like even when I look at my kids, the friends that they made in middle school is lifelong friends. Look at my older son, and his friend was in Pueblo Middle School, was just like you and I. And I try to explain that to people because they're like, just weirded out by how close they are and how like brotherly they are. And I have to, when I say, think of me and Auntie Sid, that's how their friendship is. And they're like, oh, okay, we get it now. It makes sense to them
Yeah, yeah,
because it's just friends that just became Hanai family.
yeah. And that's the special thing. Well, that's one of the special things, right, about being in Hawaii. And I know we always want to try to talk about the aloha spirit and sharing the aloha spirit, and that's one of the things here in
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii. And again, I'm going to go back to our small little town, and especially in our small little town, you kind of get hanai by a lot of people because you get so close to people here, and then truly truly hanayed by a few, right? So like me and two with you guys and mom, and but we did sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth grade at Pauilo School. No, I just want to everybody thought I was like just the bad one, and I really wasn't. And I think it was because I was loud sometimes, or like really just outspoken,
Or Tita,
because
like Tita.
or it's like full on tita, which sometimes I still am, right? So no, I mean none of us were bad. I'm not saying any you were
I
bad or
think I
anything like
think
that.
that just reminded me of why I feel like our relationship worked. And I think that I gravitate to some people like this because I think about me and my husband as well. Like my personality is very less aggressive. And and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and I feel like there are people that came into my life like you that kind of felt the need to like be my protector sometimes with certain
Mm-hmm.
situations with a stronger personality because I didn't have that much of a strong personality. And I think that's one of the traits in you that I think connected us was because there were times that you had this strong personality and I had this softer personality, and then we kind of
Mm-hmm.
balanced each other out, right? There are some
Yeah.
times that I brought you a little bit into the softer side and you brought me into the stronger side and vice versa. And I think that's why me and my husband work so well. And, some of the friends I met up here, I realized that for some reason I gravitate to strong minded people.
I hate confrontation too. Like I mean I really, really do.
Do
But
you
if you
though?
put no, I do. I totally do. Like I do. I try to avoid it at first. Like I keep my mouth shut a lot, trust
Hmm.
me. Like I don't say a lot. I try to just listen first. Like I would just shut up or shut my mouth, or like I have a lot of patience. But if you push me to that point, I'm gonna say something. I mean, like I'm gonna say something.
Right. And like Tom, I think you believe that wrong is wrong and right is right. And
Yeah, and I'm not
there's
like a
like
scrapper
justice.
though.
Huh?
It's not like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna knock you out. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm not that type of aggressive person, but I will try to make my point known sometimes. But yeah, I think I was just a titta. So it was noticeable. And I think, though, like a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, that some teachers or they kind of misunderstood that. And so thought that maybe I was a troublemaker or anything like that. And I never got into trouble at school, actually.
So after you went to high school, did you have an easy or hard time making friends as you got older into your adulthood?
So after ninth grade, I went to Lahaina Luna and boarding, right? Boarding school. And I think that's where, like we didn't talk as much.
We
We
wrote
definitely
letters.
didn't see each other as much, right? Only
We're pen
on breaks.
pals.
Yeah. And only on breaks when I got a chance to come home were we able to jump in each other's houses and stuff again, or be on the phone. So
Hmm.
we hardly talked when we were in high school, but we did continue to write letters. Again, that makes us sound so old. But I mean, I just came from your house not too long ago, right?
Hmm.
Sleeping over. But like, I can totally go to you and we could totally sleep in the same bed and just sleep over. I mean, and vice versa. And I can do those same things with my really good friends from Lahaina Luna.
Hmm.
So initially, yes, it was harder. The population was a lot bigger, but once I got to know people and being that I am that person who likes to be out there and involved in leadership and all this kind of stuff. And that really helped. But yeah, I became popular. Everybody knows
Well, it was,
Coco's, but
and it was hard because it was hard for me too.
yeah,
And
how
I
was
think,
yours?
again, I think it's a trend. I may need therapy for this now that I'm talking about this out loud. But again, I gravitate to this one best friend who is very strong minded and was kind of like my protector in high school because you weren't there. I had to
Hmm.
find that comfort that I could trust someone.
When you have that authentic friendships, like we just don't miss a beat, even after all these years,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
and I'm
because
sure,
after high school, we kind of, when you moved back to the Big Island, and we just kind of picked up where we left off now as
yeah,
adults.
you know, until the next chapter in our lives, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so,
I look back at our friendship and I look back at our young adult friendship, right? So ages between 18 to 25, right? There are so many things that I can't believe that you and I got to experience together.
mhm.
Like getting pregnant at the same time just so happened. Having due
Well,
dates 4 days apart.
yeah, and I was gonna say that it's like I feel like when you are like really tuned in and connected with somebody, like when you have that really truly authentic and I want to say wholeheartedly friendships, because you can be connected, you can click, you can be all of that, but if you don't have just that wholeness, I don't know. You can tell. You can tell when somebody is real and somebody is true. And I think when you have that, which we do, I think that's how we kind of like just cycled up together, you know,
Hmm.
with different things that happen in our lives. And yes, one of them was getting pregnant at the same exact time and not planning it,
Not planning it.
and then doctors, and then our due dates were like 4 or 5 days
I
apart, which
think it
made it
was 4 days.
even, you know, more amazing, you know. And of
Because we got
course,
to experience it together, like in the same time frame, and kind of support each other through our first child.
oh yeah, totally, totally, you know. And prior to that, I was your maid of honor, not once but
Twice.
not many of you can say that, but yeah, I was twice. But
And I was 0.
well, I didn't get married yet. Just trust. When I do, you know you are already. It's, you know, you are already. We are each other's kids' godmothers, you know, so our kids are God's
Connected.
sibling. And they had such a tight relationship too, you know, growing up. I know theirs was
Oh
a
my
little bit more
gosh.
different,
We gotta find
but
all their pictures from
I
the
know.
time they were born to
Yeah.
recent,
Yeah.
we have pictures of them together forever.
Yeah, just throughout the years, right?
They're
And
25 now.
they're going to be
Shanae's
26.
gonna, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be
So I know, you
26.
know, you had to have Naya a month early, you know, so Naya's in June, and Jojo's
Jonas.
in July, but definitely that one was a trippy one. And then my other trippy one was, you know, we were moving off the ranch, Joey
I
and
was
I
gonna
and
say this.
Jojo, and, you know, put in an application for Down Waikoloa at Ferry Terrace, and, you know, got the call that there was a condo available, and we're like, cool, you know, where is
I
it,
had
what
already lived there
number?
near my dad, with my dad, and we rented a
Yeah,
place.
this is the
We
time.
were
Yeah, you
living
were
there like
living
a
with,
year already
yeah,
by
you
that
were
time.
living with your dad down there already. And I was like, oh cool, you know, where,
We could be
which building, what
neighbors.
number?
Yeah.
And literally freaking next door to each
We
other.
shared a wall. Sid,
A
we literally.
wall. Yes, the kitchen wall. Like I just, like that one was another huge one for, and again, no planning. I mean,
It
this
was
was an
just by
apartment
chance.
complex, right? A condo complex. So there was many
I was
different,
thinking would be like across the street, like a couple, like it'd be easy for us. But then when you told me the number, I was like, OMG, we literally share.
Literally, like not even figuratively, but literally right next to each other. How was that?
And we did that. I look back at that time and I just feel like that was such a good point in my life, because at that point, I don't even think I was married. I think I was separated and I was living with my dad. He
Yeah,
did come back because we
that,
tried again
yes,
and then we got divorced.
yes.
So there was a back and forth on that one. I just remember it was a good time for me because I had you there like a support system. Like it was like literally we were eating dinners together almost every
Oh,
night.
yeah, yeah. And for me too, right? Because my life during that time was shitty. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
really, really was. It was such a hard time and I struggled. So definitely to have you right next door was huge,
Well,
right? Like that
I
was
think
such a blessing.
we went together and started doing our crafting. Remember the flowers we were making?
We
We were doing
did.
it
We
in those
started our own
apartments.
little business. So, yeah, so we kind of did that. And just again, even though like we move away or even though the space or the area is different, we just seem to still yet
Pick up where we left
connect
off.
at the same time
Mm.
and at the right times.
So I guess one of my questions here is anyway coming up, what does it truly mean to have an authentic friendship? And for me, an authentic friendship is really somebody who you're so connected with that you don't have to talk to them every day, but you still
Exactly.
feel very, very close to them. You can talk to them once a month and you still have that really tight connection with them. That to me, that's an authentic friendship. What do you think?
For me, I go back to the wholeheartedly. You can have friends, you can have acquaintances, you can have really good friends, right? Like my great grandfather would always say, like be careful not to have too much best friends because they know all your secrets.
Mm,
And with you, and I feel like that's an authentic friendship, I don't need to even worry. Like there's no
right.
thought in my mind that you going to stab me in the back
Right.
or you going tell my, you know what I mean? Like there's
So there's a sense of vulnerability. Like you can be vulnerable with me and feel safe
totally,
with that.
totally, you know? And I think us always wanting the best for the other person, no matter what, I feel like there's no jealousy there.
Right.
There's no, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot, for me, there's a lot that goes into an authentic relationship. And that
Mm,
is just some of the qualities for me. And I think just the unconditional piece,
unconditional. Yep. You
you
can
know,
be
it's
even your worst and that person just knows you. Like there is no
totally,
they know that you don't have any malicious intent. They know that you mean well with everything. The For somebody to know you,
yeah,
it's really hard to create that connection as an adult because people don't know you as a child or what you went through as a child or as a middle school, high school, whatever. All the things that we went through during those years make us who we are. And so for somebody who to make a friend with to be friends with somebody or to create a new friendship as an adult with somebody who hasn't gone through those experiences with you is it's so hard to connect.
it is because exactly like you said, I mean, you sort of have to almost go through some type of experience with somebody. And for us being that in 35 years, I mean, we have gone through a lot. Like, like we can say, oh my gosh, yeah, like intermediate was awesome. And then, our high school years were awesome. And then our young adult years were awesome. And, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we did a lot together, but separately too. I mean, we've been through a lot
In our personal lives
in our
outside of
personal
the yeah.
lives, right? For both of us. I mean, just a lot, and it's like, everything. I know everything. Nobody else needs to know everything.
Even the
But
things that
we've
I feel like people would judge me harshly that I have done in my past that I'm not very proud of, you know it all. And you
I know
still
it
love
all.
me.
Of course I'm gonna love you. You know, of course. See, I told you guys I'm not the bad one. Nah, just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. No, yeah, like I mean, we have been through some shit. Can I swear
Hmm.
on this?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
We've been through some shit,
Yeah.
and we're still here for each other. And I think the other thing too is we can call each other out on stuff or like totally give our opinions and then be okay. We take what we have to say to heart and we know that, hey, you know what? You can take it or you can leave it.
Hmm.
But I think we do it out of love. We
Yeah.
just do it out of love. It's because I love you. And like I said, I want, want the best for you. Or we talked about the Hanai concept in our culture and what that means. And it's like I've always been my cousin Rochelle, my cousin Jid, this is my auntie, this is my uncle.
Hmm.
And that has been reciprocated
Right.
to me,
Right.
and you
Yeah,
talk
you've
about
always been in our family pictures.
exactly. I'm in all the pictures, right? It's always like, oh, grandchildren, sit, come
All the
on,
cousins.
all the cousins, come on, let's go, but I mean, because the connections are definitely real. The establishments are definitely real. The
Hmm.
continuation of it is definitely real. I don't know if you remember, but we used to talk about see everybody going like to Tex Drive-In or when it had Blaine's, right? All the old people meeting up in the
Hmm.
mornings and
For
having their
coffee.
coffees. And we used to say, that's going to be me and you. We're going to end up and have coffee at McDonald's in the morning or
Hmm.
go to Blaine's or Tex Drive-In and have our morning coffee with the rest of the kupuna. We're
We'll
going to
get
end up in the
there.
same nursing home together.
Nursing home. Right.
Our
We
family,
have
our
to.
families are probably going to put us together because
I told
they're
Tom
probably not going to
already.
want to deal with us.
I told Tom if I ever have to go into a nursing home for any reason, I've told my kids, make sure me and Auntie Sydney are together.
Definitely, because we're gonna run that shit. Nah.
So, what kind of advice would you have for someone moving away from Hawaii and everything they know and the friends that they know, moving to a new place and trying to form connection?
Don't only go in with the blinders on of
Right.
you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Mm.
I think you have to sort of open yourself up, right? And not be like, oh, I gotta find somebody who is exactly like Rochelle, or I gotta find somebody who is exactly like Sydney.
Yeah, the
Like, no.
expectations cannot be there.
Yeah, like no, don't.
Mhm.
Because you may miss out on a really good friendship. Because there's so much aspects to us as individuals and personality and just everything. You can totally connect with somebody else who is somebody not just like me. So I
Mhm.
think not looking for just that one type of person. Now I'm not saying don't have boundaries because I really think you should have boundaries, especially if you're
Definitely.
going to the mainland,
Mhm.
you know but and I feel it's gonna probably take a lot longer to find a really good friend who you can really trust. So boundaries, yes. Looking for the same exact people as here, no. Don't close yourself off, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
just open it up a little bit.
I think there's
I,
something to be said about being vulnerable, but here's the thing. Like it's so hard to figure out if you can trust somebody enough to be
yeah,
vulnerable with
yeah.
them. And so my personal experience and my personal advice. So the first time I moved away, it did not for me, I didn't find any connection anywhere. I was living in upstate New York near Syracuse. I kind of felt like I had cabin fever. I didn't know anybody. I didn't
Mhm.
really connect with anybody. It was a very different lifestyle. I didn't know how to even find a friend. Like, what do I look? I mean, Facebook wasn't even a thing yet back then. So it was really hard for me to connect with anybody. So I was
Yeah.
miserable. And I remember feeling yucky about living like outside of Hawaii. And then we moved to the DC area, and I found like minded people. They're more diverse communities where people moved away from Hawaii, and I found a hula halau for my daughter to join and for me to be a part of. And I found that community. And in that community, I mean, there were times like we were at hula practice one Sunday, and new people came because they just found the halau, and they
Mm-hmm.
drove in and they introduced themselves. And the mom and I looked at each other and was like, "You look familiar. Where you from?" And she said, "Puilo." I said, "I'm from Puilo." And we figured out somebody from Puilo that we grew up with that knew my mom and knew, everybody. And so there was the connection there. Auntie Bridget lived there near me. So I had family there. And then all the other people that were connected to Hawaii that were part of the halau. It was all like-minded people. So I felt more at home and I felt more connected to my roots and who I really was. Although they didn't know my background, some of them, like my family who was there, my aunt and my friend who was from Puilo was there, so they kind of knew some background,
Mm-hmm.
the way of living that we were meant to. So it was easier for me to make those connections and authentic friendships and even be vulnerable because I could trust that they had that same Hawaiian upbringing or Hawaii upbringing and that same level of connection with each other. And so it was a little bit easier for me to trust them to be vulnerable, or
Yeah.
trust me to be vulnerable. And that's how I made some connections there. But then when I moved back up after we went to Hawaii and moved back to New York, it was different again. And I was so scared because my last experience in New York wasn't good. Like I didn't find connections. And so coming here, one of the things that I purposely did was get myself involved in a local church and get that life groups and
Mm-hmm.
small groups and get into those and meet new people. And it was a bunch of trial and error to find one or two women that I could connect with that I kind of was looking at like, okay, I think that's kind of person. And until this day, those, I have one friend that I connected with since I've been here that has been a constant and has been really good. And I was able to be vulnerable with her and she was vulnerable with me. We were honest and not judgmental and kind of connected that way. But it took time.
Like, I just wanted to, when you were talking about DC and just how, I mean, see how Hawaii is just,
We gravitate.
I don't know, man. There's, I mean, there's just something so special about being from Hawaii and just Hawaii in general, and, I did put down, like, for one of our talks, like, I really want to just dig into the word aloha, right? And break it all down and just what that means. But that is like a perfect example. Like, you can go somewhere and find one halal, right? And then there's all these people who are like-minded, like you said, right? Who grew up in the culture. I mean, granted, there's people who are there because they really want to learn, right? And they really they want to accept the culture. They're not necessarily from here, and they're,
Mhm.
great people too. But the ones who have been rooted in it, and then you find them, and I don't know, I always love that. Like, you can go somewhere and sometimes you can totally look at somebody and go, I bet you he from Hawaii. Or I
Yeah.
bet you she from Hawaii. And you go up there and you talk to them and like, oh yeah, oh, what's up, cuz, and like, oh, who's your family? And it can be literally like in Germany or something, and you're gonna find somebody.
Or you see their car and they have the Hawaiian sticker on the back
Yeah.
and you know.
Yeah, right? Or a tattoo or something. When I said, like don't look for somebody who is just like me, or don't, but not like completely taking out all those aspects, because yes, you want to find somebody who is on has the same interests, or
Mhm.
or it might be on the same level. I'm just talking about, like, if you have that best friend or that really close person and you move away, like, don't only be like, oh, I gotta find somebody who is just like her, or I gotta find somebody who is just like him, because you might miss out on a really good friend that you you,
Right.
you can maybe have that connection with. But definitely more scary, and it'll take a lot longer being in the mainland, especially to find somebody that you totally trust. But church, church is a good place too.
Yeah. And I think finding, if when I say, like-minded people, going to things that you enjoy doing. If you
Yeah.
enjoy golfing, if you enjoy, different things that you personally enjoy, and finding community there somehow.
Yeah, definitely. But I think you have to find somebody. I think that has to be a goal when you move. If you're the kind of person who is just, completely over it, and you're moving, and you can move, and you're just gonna be settling in and be totally okay, and you're that type of person, then maybe not. But for the majority of us who move away from Hawaii,
We need the connection.
you need that connection. You really do. Like you said, the first time you was having cabin fever,
Hmm.
and
I was
and
homesick so
you was
bad. Yeah.
homesick. And that's why probably some people move back home, which I'm sure we're
Hmm.
we're going to be talking to some people, right, in another session about that. But yeah, I think the other advice is find somebody. Like, you got to find somebody.
Yeah.
You just
And
you
it's
just have
trial and
to.
error. Yeah.
It's trial and error, and don't share too much right off the bat. I mean,
Build
have that
trust. Yeah.
that bit. Yeah, you got to build the trust first. You got to have that connection first before you start saying things. But yeah, it's hard. I don't know if that's good advice or not, or advice that you wanted to hear, but
No, it's
yeah.
hard. And I just want to, let everybody know they're not alone if they feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is too hard to make friends, or I can't find, or the way I was feeling in New York. I remember I was really struggling. I was reaching out, like, again, no social media. The Facebook didn't exist. I think MySpace may have been starting to come out during that time, but I wasn't on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it wasn't a thing. So we couldn't even find groups to go, and there wasn't really a good church at that time around me. And so it was just by, like, kids in sports and maybe meeting parents at school,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
PTSA, PTA, that kinds of stuff. And just, but honestly, I was young. I was in my late 20s, and I didn't have, like, the thought of, okay, I got to find like-minded people by doing things that I enjoy. I didn't even have that thought, so I didn't know any
Because you don't want
better.
to change yourself either. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? To fit in with somebody else, right? I mean, we tell our kids that from young time. So as adults, we don't want to be doing that either just to fit in.
Hmm.
But when you move away, it's kind of like going to a new school,
It
right?
is.
I mean, you're trying
Yep.
to fit in, you're trying to join this group or that group, and you're
Yeah.
definitely trying to find friends to sit at the lunch table with, because you don't want to be eating alone.
My biggest thing is, don't give up hope. It's a trial and
Hmm.
error. It takes time to build relationships. It takes time to build trust. In fact, in one of my women's group that at my church, that's one of the main topics that we constantly talk about, is making authentic friendships, because a lot of them move from different places, not just Hawaii, but one lady's from Chicago and another is from Florida, and they're all trying to find that connections with people. And it gets lonely, especially in your older age, when you don't have that connection.
Yeah.
And I think that what I need in my life, and I know you know this about me, is I need the silliness. I
Hmm.
need the childlike behavior. I told you to put your phone on vibrate.
You can hear them. Oh yeah, I forgot to turn them off. I forgot to turn the. Sorry, Sha. I kind of thought I did.
Anyways, but it's just hard to be able to make those connections, and trust, and not have the judgment of stuff, but I think once you find that person, or two that understand you, where you came from, your background, get to know you that way. If somebody takes the interest to get to know you and your background, I feel like it's a little bit easier to open up to people when they are genuine and they really want to get to know you.
Yeah. And when and if they've gone through some of the same struggles you've gone through, or if they've gone through some of the hardships that you've gone through,
Hmm.
if they've whatever it may be, if they have maybe the same amount of children as you do, and maybe the around the same age as you do, and I mean there's many different things that can connect somebody to each other. But like you said, it'll be trial and error, and it's gonna take some time. But
Hmm.
but I do feel too like if you pray on it, I mean, God will put the right people in your face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna bring somebody to you,
Yeah.
because like you said, yeah, it gets lonely, and especially for women, right? I mean, men are a little different,
Hmm.
but especially for women. And then you don't want, then after that, then the depression sets in, and then just everything else can happen after that. And so everybody needs a friend. Everybody needs a genuine friend.
Yes.
Everybody needs somebody that you can, if they in the bathroom doing their makeup, that you can go in and sit on the toilet and just do your business while they put it on their makeup, and they're not going to care.
Or show up at
Everybody
their
needs a friend
house.
like that.
Or show up
Huh?
at their house and open the refrigerator to
And
see
open
what
your
they got to eat.
refrigerator, right? And I love that about here, right? And I mean, and that's what it was at our old house. I mean, the door, we didn't even lock our door. The door didn't even lock. Whoever wanted to come in could come in and eat if they wanted to, or grab one snack off the table if they wanted to. But
Mm.
yeah, everybody needs a friend, and you don't need to have choke.
Yeah. Just
My
need
great
one or
grandpa
two.
also would say, keep them on one hand.
Yeah.
Keep them on one hand, he would say. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
So you don't need plenty of friends, like really, really good. You don't need to feel like you need 12 best friends.
Right. Right. You don't need a whole group or a
You
posse.
don't need one
You
whole
just
group.
need a.
Yeah. I mean, I know we all have more than just each other, but, yeah. Yeah.
And now we have FaceTime and we have, video conferencing with people and we have social media. And so it's a little bit easier to find groups. So like
Yeah.
minded groups, like on Facebook, you can find Hawaiian in Washington or Hawaiians in DC. Like you can find groups that get together and have information and share information and you can connect with them, and so it's a little bit easier now
It's
to
easier now. Yeah, definitely. But, I
find.
mean, I think about it too. I don't know if, I mean, I know I could do it. I don't know how long it would take me, though,
Yeah.
to actually make a really good friend. I mean, I know
You're
you
a little bit
probably.
more reserved and probably a little bit more guarded on who you allow into your personal space or your personal life, or even to know the vulnerability.
Oh yeah, that piece. Yeah, I mean, I'm total Mrs. Aloha though, so
Hmm.
like I can talk to anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I can chat with anybody and I can ask questions. But to get to that deeper point, yeah, I'm definitely a little bit more guarded
Mm.
on who I let in past, the third door.
See,
First door
I'm
open,
not.
third door, you gotta knock a couple times before I open that door. But
I'm an open book, and Tom hates that about me because I just tell everybody everything about me.
sometimes you gotta watch. I mean,
Well, yeah, I've learned the hard way. Some people use it against me now, or some people take advantage, and then Tom's
yeah,
like, told you, kind of thing. So,
it's the
um,
taking advantage part. Yeah, I should
we,
have
we,
said a good friend. I should have said a good friend allows you to change your outfit 4 times before leaving the door.
and I do.
That's me.
I am patient with you,
You're
Sydney.
very patient, yes. Except when you're like, come on,
Well, we can't be
Vivian, come
late.
on.
Thanks for joining us on Come Out in Your Corner. Head over to the comments below and let us know what other challenges you face or what topics you'd like us to cover next.
So hit that subscribe button below. Mahalo for listening. Until next time, shaka to your makas. Aloha.